First A major, C sharp minor, back to A major, this time with the colored note added. Hi everyone! This time I'll be listening to another band I've never heard before, another artist I've never heard before, although this name has come up a few times on the channel. The singer's name is Amy Lee, and I have to check my dates here. She was born in December 13, 1981. So, happy birthday, Amy Lee. This is a bit different than all the classic rock that I've been doing. This is one of the more modern bands. I haven't looked to see yet when it was founded, but I know that her band is still active and contemporary. I also know from the comments that I've seen on the channel that she mixes classical and rock influences, and I suppose that's one of the reasons it has come up here, is for me to hear something that has an intentional mix of these styles. So this is going to be interesting this evening, and it's kind of in celebration of Emily's birthday. So again, happy birthday. Now, it's not just Amy Lee. I guess there's a band as well, which is, I should read this, huh? Evanescence. Well, before I read this, let me say that you can always check out my Ko-fi and Patreon pages if you want to support my journey into rock music of all styles, all kinds, all time periods in which rock music exists. You can always find early access to everything that's going to show up here on YouTube eventually, as well as all kinds of goodies that will never be able to come here on YouTube. Things like, let's say, the Beatles 150 series, which can't be put up here because of copyright issues. So, Evanescence. Amy Lynn Lee. Nice ring to the name, isn't it? Of course, I don't think that she had much to do with that. But anyway, born December 13, 1981. Evanescence is an American rock band founded in 1994. Okay, 1994 is when it was founded, by singer and keyboardist Amy Lee and guitarist Ben Moody in Little Rock, Arkansas. That's not too far from Tennessee. Generally classified as a gothic, alternative metal, and hard rock band, Evanescence have a diverse sound incorporating various musical styles including classical music, alternative music, heavy metal, industrial metal, and electronic music, driven by Lee's contrasting musical pursuits and introspective songwriting. Among other accolades, Evanescence has received 2 Grammy Awards, 3 Loudwire Music Awards, a Kerrang Award, a Revolver Golden Gods Music Award, a Rock Sound Award, a Brit Award nomination, 3 American Music Award nominations, and 5 MTV Video Music Award nominations. Those are some award nominations and award categories which I haven't heard so much of in some of the classic rock stuff, so maybe it's more contemporary award lists. Evanescence have sold a total of 31.9 million albums, making the band one of the best-selling hard rock and metal artists of all time. That's pretty impressive. These musical influences throughout childhood and her teenage years included classical music, Danny Elfman and Hans Zimmer's film scores, alternative music, grunge, hard rock, industrial music, death metal, groove metal, and electronica artists like Björk and Portishead. Quite a wide variety. Her earliest memory of wanting to fuse various and contrasting musical styles was when she was training in classical piano and realized that a section of a composition from Baroque composer Bach resembled heavy metal. I wonder which passage that was, which piece that was. That would be interesting to find out. Lee considers the Lacrimosa movement of Mozart's Requiem her favorite piece of music and wove it into the Open Door song Lacrimosa. Well, if that's her favorite piece of music, she seems to have some pretty good taste. My Immortal is a song from their debut studio album Fallen from 2003. The song was written by singer and pianist Amy Lee and guitarist Ben Moody when they were 15. It was commercially successful, peaking within the top 10 in over 10 countries. The single was certified gold in the US and platinum in Australia. In 2005, it received a nomination for Best Pop Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocals at the 47th Grammy Awards. My Immortal has been considered by some media outlets as one of Evanescence's best songs, with Loudwire and Kerrang ranking it in the top 5 of their lists of best Evanescence songs. Okay, well, this is going to be interesting. Classical influence, all the other mix of styles in the band, and it seems like Amy Lee is quite an important figure in this band. It's kind of her creation, I gather. And the music says words and music by Ben Moody, Amy Lee, and David Hodges. So kind of a mix, but she's definitely got her finger in it. So let's see how it sounds.
I'm so tired of being here, suppressed by all my childish fears. And if you have to leave, I wish that you would just leave. Your presence still lingers here, and it won't leave me alone. These wounds won't seem to heal. This pain is just too real. There's just too much that time cannot erase. When you cried, I'd wipe away all of your tears. When you'd scream, I'd fight away all of your fears. And I held your hand through all of these years, but you still
Definitely classical influences mixed in, and also I feel some easy listening pop style influence as well. I don't know exactly how to classify it other than to say that. Kind of the film score influence as well, with the lush string background, and it's a very gentle chord progression. She has a pretty voice as well. It's at least so far, it's not as hard and harsh as a lot of rock singers, although I'm learning that there's really quite a wide range of voice styles within rock. So I won't say all rock singers by any stretch, but a lot of the rock singers tend for a harder sound, and she keeps hers fairly light and lyrical. Well, we're coming up to the repeat here, so I'm just going to listen through the next verse, which will be kind of what we heard before, maybe, but we'll see what happens.
You used to captivate me by your resonating light. Now I'm bound by the life you left behind. Your face, it haunts my once pleasant dreams. Your voice, it chased away all the sanity in me. These wounds won't seem to heal. This pain is just too real. There's just too much that time cannot erase. When you cried, I'd wipe away all of your tears. When you scream, I'd fight away all of your fears. And I held your hand through all of these years, but you still
That little piano figure, da 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 bum, it reminds me of something I've heard somewhere in a song of a similar style, but I can't recall exactly. Maybe it was a folk song or something that had that sort of accompaniment pattern. And something about the placement of it here. Da 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 da. Just as we are coming to the end of one line and going to the next. It's a simple figure, and actually it shows up in a lot of music, but here it makes me remember, and it might be something like an arrangement of or sea to sky or something like that, as I'm thinking. Probably something like that I've heard, maybe even played somewhere along the way. I do hear a good deal of, we could say, Hans Zimmer film score influence in there, the sweeping strings and the gentle transitions and all of that. It's interesting. It certainly feels very, very modern compared to the other music I've been listening to. And why do I say that it's feels so incredibly modern? Well, I still remember the day, well, let me back up a little bit. When I'm teaching students, and especially if I have a student who's struggling with motivation, I often tell them, bring in some of your favorite music. Let's figure out what it is that really gets you excited. Why did you decide to learn to play the piano or the harp, or why are you here? And can we help you achieve some of your dreams along the way as we're studying all the important building blocks and things that aren't necessarily what a child dreams of doing when they say, Mommy, I want to learn to play piano. Daddy, you have to take me to piano lessons. So I remember I had a student years ago and struggling with motivation, and so I did my typical bring in one of your favorite songs that has piano on it. Well, what did this child bring in? 10,000 Reasons. I had never heard the song before. Well, it's a famous song now, especially in the church world, certain church worlds. And it was something that she listened to at home and loved, and I remember looking at it thinking, oh my goodness, this child doesn't have a grasp of syncopation and reading syncopations and making it work rhythmically, but well, this is a good learning opportunity. And as I was playing through the sheet music, figuring out, okay, how am I going to help reduce this to something that's manageable for her? I just remember the style of the piano writing in that moment and recognized it as being a very contemporary, modern, kind of easy listening piano style. And here it was showing up in 10,000 Reasons. And as I listened to my Immortal here, it is also this sort of easy listening, flowing piano style. The kind of thing that somebody might sit down and improvise easily. Pull out some chords and get a nice piano rhythm. Dum bum 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 bum. Actually, it works well on the harp too. I should play a bit of it in a few moments. But what I'm saying is, this is clearly built off of standard musical figures, which we find not only in classical music, not only in film score writing, not only in modern contemporary worship songs, not only in, well, obviously in rock style writing as well. And it's so interesting to see a musical style, a musical approach, which is so ubiquitous and so accessible to anybody who listens to it. I guess that's why we call it easy listening, right? Because practically anyone can start to feel the flow of it, no matter what their musical background. And it's a wonderful thing in many ways, because it demonstrates the universality of music, of all styles of music. And of course, as you've watched me on my journey here, you've seen me struggle as I tackle some of these songs. So I'm not saying that just because you know one style of music, you'll instantly get something else. Not at all. But still, there are musical figures, musical styles, usually some of the more basic elements, which we find everywhere. And a lot of what I'm doing here as I break apart music is demonstrating we find this. This is here. We can cross-reference this. And it's such a wonderful experience, and it is nice to see a piece of music that is built on such accessible, simple figures, which ends up being so popular. Well, of course it's popular because it's accessible, but it's done in a very pleasant way. Let's take an example, the opening of the piano part. And well, I'll mark it here. We have this, and let's face it, this is a computer-generated score. It's written horribly. So I'm going to write in the chords as well so we can follow along in case you can't read all these ridiculous ledger lines, okay? So, and I'm not insulting anybody by that. It's the computer who did this. If you can say it's a who. Anyway, so we have, this starts on an A major chord here. And then it switches to a C sharp minor. Then we have the same A major again. We have one extra little note thrown in right here, which is really a relief at this point, because otherwise it would be incredibly dull. And when you are working with incredibly simple chord progressions, adding a non-chord tone somewhere in the flow is a guaranteed way to enrich it, to color it, to give something that kind of breaks the monotony and enhances. Think of it like looking through a kaleidoscope and just shifting one little shift of the kaleidoscope. Then suddenly what you see is so different and at the same time linked to what came before. You have all the same colors, all the same little pieces in the kaleidoscope, but that little shift changes the picture. And this is kind of what's happening here with this non-chord tone. Anyway, then we get back to C sharp minor. So what's happening here is we are using the home chord of A. And then rather than going to a standard 1-4-5 progression, you know, going to the 4 chord, the 5 chord, the 5-7, going back home, this song does something a bit different. It takes the home chord, and then it takes what we call a secondary chord, one of the minor chords in the scale. This time it's the third note of the scale, and we mark it with 3 Roman numerals, and so we call that the minor 3. Here is A major, that's number 1. We walk up from A, 1, 2, 3. Now we have C minor. And if we look at the music, we can see that this same progression happens here, and here, and here, and here. Basically, the song is built off of it. So it's a really important progression to the song, and it's nice the way it creates this very relaxing vibe. There's no drive towards home, there's no drive pull away from home. It's just this color and this color. They're kind of washing back and forth. So here's what the piano does. There's the color note. I almost forgot it. Let's do it again. The kaleidoscope shift, and then it happens again. First A major, C sharp minor, back to A major, this time with the color note added. And then it happens again, and you can play, it's the sort of figure that you can play along with it, even if you know, well, if you can only find 2 notes on the piano, on your instrument, you could play along with this, the bulk of this song. You could play an A and a C sharp. You could actually play the A and the C sharp together whenever we have the A chord, and then the C sharp on its own whenever the minor chord comes in. And if you wanted to get a little bit more adventurous, you could play A and C sharp, and then you could play C sharp and E. And then, if that's all you knew at your instrument, then you could simply start improvising and kind of jamming along with the song. My string is going out of tune. I just added some new strings to this harp because some are broken, so it's slightly out of tune. You could go A. You could go... And if you're playing along with the music, even though that's incredibly simple, you would find that you can go with the flow and just enjoy expressing yourself along with the song. Of course, if you can play more than that, then you can easily add. I mean, we could do a big arpeggio sequence. And then we could go to C sharp minor. We could... Oh, let's make it a little more interesting. Let's do this. And then we have to change to a C chord. We could even do something even different. So many different options and opportunities when the harmonic sequence is so basic. And that opens the door to participation in the song. You don't have to be a trained musician. You can be an amateur, a wish you were amateur even, and go along with it and just enjoy the opportunity to express and have your expression enhanced by the music itself. It's really a lovely opportunity, and you ought to try it, because there's something incredibly satisfying about being able to participate in the music making process. And, well, you see my face light up. I love getting non-musicians, non-instrumentalists involved in creating music. It's one of the things I love to do when I get a group of beginners and give them just a couple notes, and then I sit down at my instrument and they're able to play along and their eyes light up and they suddenly realize we can make something beautiful together. Well, it's interesting that this song has made me think about teaching beginners. Because, well, of course I'm a teacher and I teach beginners a lot, but it made me remember that student who needed some motivation and brought in a song which was similar to this. And it makes me think of the opportunities available musically for practically anyone who wishes to just try it, experience it. You don't have to drive yourself to master the instrument if it's not your dream or if it's not within your resources, but you can still participate in and enjoy the experience of making music when you find something like this with a beautiful sound, a relaxing quality. It kind of takes the stress out of the whole process. You could just relax and enjoy it. And of course, a lovely voice. Amy Lee's voice is very sweet and clear, and there's a purity to it that is very attractive and appealing. And it also allows room for any music-making efforts around it to shine a bit. So, a lovely opportunity. And I have to say again, happy birthday, Amy Lee. And I think it's fabulous that this kind of music is available and can inspire and motivate and give room for musical expression and musical enjoyment, whether you listen or play or both. Well, there's my first listen of Evanescence and Amy Lee. And you can see my teacher's eyes light up, and maybe I'll check out another piece or two just to see, are they all this kind of style, or are there some stylistic differences? Because it's always nice to find some variety. It's also good to know if there's a consistency. So I'll be checking out some more of her soon. I'll see you next time.